All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. The San Diego Padres came into this season with the third highest payroll in Major League Baseball. And just like the New York Mets and New York Yankees, who topped the Padres for spending during the offseason, they are more than likely going to be watching the postseason from home. With a record of 66 and 75, San Diego is 20 games behind the Los Angeles Dodgers for first place in the National League West, but they're also 7 games behind the out for the final wild card spot in the NL. The Padres have been one of the biggest disappointments in MLB this season. San Diego has not been above 500 since May the 10th. And after just losing 2 out of 3 at home to the Philadelphia Phillies, the Padres are just 23 and 28 here in the second half of the season. Now, San Diego took a chance at the trade deadline as they decided to be buyers instead of sellers. And instead of making up ground in the wild card race, they've been taking on water. Things just never, excuse me, came together for the Padres after their surprise run to the National League Championship Series last year, along with the spending over the winter. And that spending included them signing third baseman Manny Machado to an extension and signing Xander Bogaerts, the all-star shortstop in free agency. And once you factor that in with the talent that was already on this team, the Padres were once again expected to make a run at the World Series. But with all of that talent, which includes the likes of outfielder Juan Soto, this Padres lineup is 11th in the NL so far in team batting average this season, as well as hits. Now, San Diego's lineup was expected to be the engine for this team, but it's been the pitching that has carried the Padres as their pitching staff has a top ERA in the National League. They're also second in opponents' batting average and they're third in strikeouts. You just look at it, and of course, one question is going to be where did things go wrong? I don't think the Padres were ever in it, to say the least. And I say that from the standpoint that that vibe, that cohesiveness, that the way that they were able to gel last year, it just never came together for this team this year. I think, not having Fernando Tatis to begin the year was part of it. But then also, even with that, the talent was still there, and in place to get it done. I think to me, one of the biggest things for San Diego, they just were never able to handle their business against the teams that they were supposed to handle their business against. And then you go back to early May, the Padres had 2 series that month with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Of course, the team that has dominated the National League West, the team that has dominated the Padres up until last year's NLDS when San Diego beat the Dodgers in 4 games. In those 6 games that San Diego had with the Dodgers early on this season, they were 1-6. And on top of that, you look at their slump that they had just before the All Star break. San Diego went on a tear, if you want to call it that, where they lost 7 out of 8. They got swept by the Pittsburgh Pirates. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Reds, and of course, the Reds, have proven to be a very formidable team this season, a very surprising team. But of course, that has not been the case for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And then right out of the chute to begin the second half of the season, when most people expected San Diego to turn it on, they went to Philly for a rematch of the NLCS last year. They lost 3 out of 4 against the Phils, and they just never recovered from that. It's been up and down, up and down, up and down. And it seems like every time that you think that the Padres are about to turn the corner, it's right back downhill. So things just never came together for this team. Like I said, to me, San Diego should have been sellers at the trade deadline. They have some interesting questions that have to be answered over the offseason. Are they going to be able to re-sign relief pitcher Josh Hader? Are they going to be able to resign starting pitcher Blake Snell, who is having one of the best seasons of his career? And I'll tell you like this, Blake Snell is easily probably going to covet, getting $30 million, on the free agent market. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. I mean, San Diego, the big money for Manny Machado's contract, has yet to kick in. They're not going to ship him out of town, obviously, after just giving him an extension. Would they possibly try to move on from Fernando Tatis? I'm not sure. Obviously you're locked in with Xander Bogarts. You're locked in with Yu Darvish. Also, the Soto situation. He's about to hit going to his last year arbitration. Do the Padres try to work out a long-term deal for him? A lot of these things could be on the table for San Diego this offseason. But again, this is just another example, just like it was this year with the Mets, just like it was this year with the Yankees. Spending the money does not guarantee success. I will give credit where credit is due for AJ Preller and this Padres front office from the standpoint that, hey, they rolled the dice. I give them that, but obviously it has not worked out. And for them to be willing to do it as a smaller market team, they definitely deserve credit for that. But at the end of the day, they did have an opportunity to somewhat skate from under things at the trade deadline, and they refused to do it. And I think it could come back to hurt them just from the standpoint that San Diego could have gotten some financial relief and also, possibly gotten a prospect or two back in return. That was not the case. Things have just never come together this year for the Padres. And as we are now in the final month of the MLB season, and it's looking more and more likely that San Diego will not be postseason bound this year, it's going to be a very interesting offseason in the 619. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you are on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. Once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.